agree, but where there's a disagreement between the junior and the senior, it's referred to the deputy. Which doesn't know the docket, has been impartial, and so on. Why isn't it done in this case to ensure that checks and balances are in place, that it's not a report that has been rubber stamped by your friend?
Like I said, when I printed the document, I didn't look for the last page. It was double checked. He's in agreement with me.
The question is, shouldn't you refer it to somebody independent if the two of you do not agree for a third opinion?
No, I disagree with you. It's the same thing where the state has got an expert doing the state's work. Why don't they ask the independent experts on the outside to control their work or check if it's correct?
That does happen, you know that for a fact. As a
don't do
member of
that.
the SAPS, it's sent to Pretoria.
No, they don't. They do not allow any of the private experts within the laboratory, not one.
They do not allow it,
In the laboratories currently in South Africa, a private expert or a private entity will not be allowed to go into the laboratory to confirm a physical match or different. What normally happens is we will ask for the cartridge case with the file, we will do our own test, and we will compare it to the exhibit cartridge or exhibit bullet on our own, independent from the state.
How many years ago did you leave the SAPS?
How many years?
Years ago.
1989, roughly 20, 30 years.
Yes.
Yes.
And you confirming the process is that they do not refer it to a different office for an independent decision. Is that what you say?
If they refer the exhibit that was examined in, for instance, Port Elizabeth, and then they will send it to Pretoria to
That's
be
correct.
confirmed. They might be doing that, I don't know. It's possible, yes.
The purpose of that is to ensure there are proper checks and balances before evidence is presented in court. Is that correct?
I would say that's a confirmation of what is seen, yes.
So in this instance, when you and your friend don't agree with one another, shouldn't you have referred it to an independent person to check both your work in order to come to a decision?
I would disagree. We will have a discussion between the two of us to determine what is the right way of going. So you need to qualify your answer. In other words, when you do an examination, you have to qualify your answer, why you believe certain facts. So once you've done that, only then will you sign the peer review report and I will sign my side. We both have to be in agreement.
Should you not do it in this way now that we have established that State is your friend?
Quibus is my friend, he's my partner, he's part of the business. Now in the state's case, the ballistic expert will send it to another ballistics, he's also part of the state. It's the same thing. They might not be friends. It's irrelevant. At the end, as long as your work has been checked.
You said Stale has got better access to better technology when you testified. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. The advances is big, yes.
Isn't that in direct contradiction what you testified earlier when you said that when I asked you about the proficiency test and all that, you said the basics remain the same despite the advances in technology?
If you look at the basics regarding ballistic identification, the basics when it started in 1950 And Barrett-Lowe that started in South Africa as the first ballistic expert. The basic principles are exactly the same. That didn't change. If you use the comparison microscope, in that sense the microscope has bettered itself. It's better quality, better prisms and etc. If you look at the firearms where the ejectors and extractors and the barrels are made, they make a lot more than in the olden days where they would make 100 barrels using a tool, and then the tool would be blunt. But the principles that they apply to do the matching, the actual striation matching, is still the same and still applies, no matter how you look at it. The only difference is the quantity of firearms that can be the same becomes larger. That's why they brought in subclass characteristics to make sure that we do not have that problem. So the identification, you have to look at everything. You cannot decide, I'm just going to look at individual characteristics. If you look at the serial numbers that the Lieutenant Colonel examined, they all manufactured one after each other or very close to each other. Now if they import those firearms, they do not import 5. They import 100 or 200 or 1,000. So there's 1,000 firearms now there where the serial number are corresponding with each other, or close to each other, following each other. So the marks, the class characteristics will be the same. That we've established. Then we have to look individual characteristics between each one of these firearms. What is unique? And then based on that, we need to determine that individual characteristics. Can that be classified as a possible subclass characteristic? In other words, there's going to be another firearm with the same mark. That's the whole process.
Isn't ballistics a world-class discipline that South Africa can compare with any other state outside the borders? That's why police are being trained also outside.
Yes, you can compare it. Yeah, you can. Same thing.
Why would you say that the technology of steel will be better than if this is a world-class facility or discipline, if I can put it like that?
The requirements in their court are much more advanced in the sense of forensic ballistics. The laboratory put in protocols, a lot more protocols that we currently got in South Africa. The protocols are completely different. I can just give you an example. If you look at the quantity of cases that the Lieutenant Colonel need to examine in a week in relation to an expert in America, it's completely different. There they will have one case which they can spend the whole week on to do the examination, do all the research, make sure everything is 100%. South Africa, we do not have that time or the luxury. They normally would do between 10 and 15 cases a week, and they still 2 years behind. They're only starting to do all the examinations of 3 or 4 years ago's firearm currently. So the workload in relation to the work done, that's why everything is sent for confirmation to Pretoria to double check.
You've left the SAPS 30 years ago. How do you know that they are behind 4 years? 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
I have insight on the cases. I'm currently busy with other cases which I cannot mention. And in those cases, I can see that the lab numbers that they currently are producing and on the dates where the statements or the 212 affidavits have been supplied. If you look at that, they're basically 2 years behind. It can even be more. The only time that you will find where a case has got preference is where the investigation officer will go to the ballistic unit and say, listen, this is really it's a high-profile case. We need it quick.
That's your assumption that you're making, is that correct?
That's
Because
what-
ballistics, sometimes you will only find the spent cartridge on a particular scene and find the firearm relating to that particular cartridge a year or two later in a total different incident, that will also be a factor that needs to be considered. Is that correct?
Yes, that's also correct, yes. That's why I can just give you a little bit more insight. You've got the IBIS system. How it works is when they get exhibits that picked up a scene without a firearm, they will examine it, they will give you out a report. Those cartridge cases, the best marks that is available will be given to IBIS. The IBIS system will then store it on a computer, and that cartridge case will be compared to all the firearms as it comes in over the whole South Africa. So if, for instance, a year later they find a firearm, let's say in the Cape, and they fire the test and they load it up into IBIS, IBIS will give a hit list saying there's a possibility that the exhibit that was picked up in Gauteng could have been fired out of this firearm that you received and examined in Cape Town. Then they will appoint an examiner to do the actual matching of what they see.
But the international standard is that you should find 2 or more surface couture. Is that correct? In order to make a positive identification, is that correct?
According to me, yes, you need two different areas.
Yes.
Yes.
A surface couture and a different, and the area, is that one and the same thing, or is it 2?
No, it's different. The contour, like you're discussing, it's chamber marks. The contour is the whole cartridge, left from the beginning, from 0 degrees right to 360 degrees. The area, I'm talking about the tool. Now you need to relate it to the tool. So you have a tool mark, like the neck mark, that you have to confirm either with the extractor, ejector, ejection port, deflector, any other mark other than that neck marks.
Isn't that exactly what Leka did in his investigation? That he did compare those with each other and he got 3 marks?
According to my recollection and the testimony that he gave, he only used the neck mark. He couldn't find any other marks.
You testified yesterday that the reason why that firearm SPA jammed on the video that was presented in court, you gave 2 scenarios. One, that the firearm could have been dirty, is that correct?
That is correct.
What was the other one again?
The ammunition.
Incorrect.
Yeah. The ammunition could be out of specification.
If the bolt of that firearm has been removed or changed, can that also have an impact on a firearm jamming? Especially if it's a little bit shorter than it should be.
I would say the bolt carrier, no, it should not have an effect. And the bolt itself, the rotating bolt, I would also say it will have no effect. If you have an original part, in other words, if you replace it with a CQA, another one, it's supposed to work.
If it's not exactly the same, if it's shorter than it should be.
If it's shorter or has been altered,
Yes.
then it will not work the way that it's supposed to.
Yes. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make, that that is also one of the factors that could cause a firearm to jam. Is that correct?
I would agree, yes.
And now we know this has happened, that that bolt has been replaced of SPA 249.
The possibility exists, yes.
How do we know that, Your Worship? With respect, that's a misleading question. We don't know that it was jammed. The ballistic expert says because it tested negative in its entirety to the ejector, etc., etc., therefore he comes to the conclusion that it was jammed. Our evidence put to the ballistic expert was that the security guard to whom that firearm was issued says it was not checked. So
So the witness, Advocate Matthews, as far as I recall, the evidence of the ballistic expert was, and I'm recalling from memory long ago, that he found the breech block was changed, and he actually found the firearm which matches the changed breech block.
no.
Yes.
Never.
Yes.
With respect, I don't know your worship's mouth on the rail. That is definitely not the evidence before.
Okay, let us just give your client the opportunity to finish his laughing exercise there. Continue. Are you done? Oh, thank you.
Bishop, in respect of that issue, I won't take it further. I just want to ask you that if the ball there has been changed of a particular firearm, would that also cause the fact that it jams? I will leave it at that.
It could.
I'm not done with that yet. Advocate
It could
Matthews, I
cause.
was recording from memory, but I'll check. So withdraw your statement of saying I've gone off the rails.
That was the expression you
All
were.
right. Then I accept it as that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I hope your worship will check, because that is very important. That is very important.
Capital letter, comma, and a full stop.
It's a very important aspect, your worship, and with respect, you are wrong. The witness did not say that he found the bolt that fitted that particular part.
Please then, before you continue, refer to the exact page and record and read.
As to where he said that.
As to where he doesn't say that.
I would like your worship to refer to the exact point.
No. You objected, Advocate Matthews. Then please refer me to the reason and the paragraph why you are objecting.
I'm objecting because your worship said that the witness testified.
Yes, that was a reply to your objection. You objected to what was placed to the witness by the state. Lay the basis for your objection.
My objection is that the prosecutor said we have established that the witness said that the bolt was in fact changed.
Yes.
All right. I think that was his question. I can't recall that. Your worship then said that the witness testified that it was indeed changed because he found the bolt that fitted that particular firearm.
That part.
That is the problem I've got.
That was my reply to your objection.
Yeah.
So I want to know what you are objecting to as to what was placed before the witness.
It was never established
That the bolt
that the
was
bolt
changed.
was changed.
Are you saying
The witness
you
said
never
because,
testified that the bolt was changed?
yes, the witness testified because the parts, the ejector extractor, breech face marks, firing pin of that particular firearm were negative. He's saying that that portion was changed. Our version to him was, nothing has been changed on this firearm. It's negative because you are wrong about the neck mark.
Yes.
You understand, do it? So it's never been established, like my learned colleague is testifying, that the part was in fact changed. That is in
All right,
dispute.
that will then be a decision that the court will make at the end, because you have your vision and the state has their vision.
Exactly. But it has never been established that that is in fact what
Please
happened.
rephrase the word established.
Yes, thank you. I did already rectify that with the witness. It is on record that I'll leave it at that. I want to show you, I want to take you again to your report. On paragraph 7.1, 7.2, where you states on the 15th of November 2021, I received an email with instructions to the following effect. 7.1, to determine all the microscopic marks transferred between the working parts of the rifles to an unfired ammunition, and further to determine if any of these marks can be part of the microscopic comparison process comparing fired cartridge case to the suspect rifle. The following serial number of the rifles were SPCN SPA 237/14, same CN SPA 245, SPA 246, SPA 248. Do you see that?
That's correct.
Then you also refers to during on 7.2 to describe and explain the complete working of the Norinco 223.
That's correct.
Remington, I assume, that's what the REM is standing for, caliber model, and you describe the model, copy firearms relating to serial number CNSPA 239/14, is that correct?
That is correct, and that serial number should read 249. That's the exhibit, if I'm not mistaken.
If I understand you, you are saying this is a typo.
That's just a type.
I just want to confirm on that aspect that all the list of the serial numbers are in front of me, and that SPA 239 have never been part of the exhibits that has been forwarded to the ballistic unit or that has been presented by technical security services to the ballistic section.
That is correct. I've only noticed the typing error now is 249.
Can you explain this specific paragraphs? What do you mean here?
I was asked, instructed to give an explanation in the beginning. My presentation is how the firearm works. What happens when the trigger is pulled? That's the video that I've showed. That's in a nutshell how the firearm. This is what I needed to determine. The court needed to understand. If you shoot the firearm, what happens to the cartridge case on the inside? How's the marks transferred? How is it ejected? Where does the cartridge going to fall? That's what I needed to determine, relating to the Norinco CQA with that serial number. Now the serial numbers that I've examined is the exact one, it's the same make, model, just the serial numbers are different.
The SPA 249, the one that you now saying in 7.2, it was a typing error, a typo. Isn't that the exact same firearm that was seized? I just want to make sure by an SAPS and that it was actually linked to the spent cartridge case.
It's a 249, it's the one that's related to the cartridge case, yes.
But you never examined it.
No, I haven't.
Why referring to it here in your report if you have never examined it?
Because there was mention made regarding the firearm, so I needed to show that the exhibit firearm for the court is exactly the same as what I've examined.
So we have this to show that.
To show that the exhibit firearm that was linked by Lieutenant Colonel is the same or similar to the ones that I've examined. And I can take it a little bit further, so the class characteristics and some of the subclass characteristics I would find in the other firearms.
But we've already established you've never had, you've seen this exhibit even before it was fired, during the play, it was fired, or after it, so you've never tested it.
No, I haven't tested it.
was the purpose of you making a video with that blank firearm? What was the reason for that?
At a stage, my instruction was there was a flash. And I needed to determine if we fire a blank firearm, what will happen? What will we see? That's why we made the video. And that was the last time we were here at court after the testimony of the Lieutenant Colonel.
Did you have to switch off the lights in order for us to see that muzzle flash that came out of that?
I did exactly the same as what the Lieutenant Colonel did.
Did you switch off the
I
lights?
did, yeah, switch off the lights to make the flash, because it's so quick, it's just to make it visible that you can see it.
Does that blank firearm that you've used during that demonstration also have recoil when you fire shots?
Yes, not a lot, but it does have recoil, yes.
Is the amount of muzzle flash that is produced by that firearm that you used in your demonstration exactly the same as those that we see on the video when the incident occurred at the Sisal Dukasha Stadium?
It's similar.
Similar or the same?
How can I determine if it's the same? I have found, by firing the blank gun, that in some instances the flash is actually sometimes larger than that of the CQR. But there is a flash present.
Can I make use of your expertise? What is the what's the word that I want to use? So sorry, Roshi. How much live rounds would the 9mm Glock standard magazine take?
Depending on the type of Glock, it can be between 8 or 9 up to 15. You get extended mags where you'll have 40, 30. It all depends on the magazine capacity, but normally you would find it will be 15 rounds.
15, is that correct? So those standard issues by the police and so on will have the same, like 15.
You can't just say that they have 50. It depends on the firearm that they've got. It should be 15. That's a standard. When you use your Alibi Z88, it should be 15 rounds, yes.
Can you explain the process when you fire a 9mm Glock? What happens when the magazine is empty?
The firearm will, the slide at itself, the top part of the pistol, will stay in the rear position. And once you take the magazine out, then by depressing your release lever on the left hand side, the slide can go forward. That's one way of doing it. Otherwise, the second part is where you have another magazine which is loaded with cartridges which you will put in, and you still have to do the same action for the slide to go forward.
The hammer, when the slide is open, in which position will the hammer be?
On a Glock, you won't see the hammer. I can just give a little bit more information on the Glock. The only way that you will be able to see that the firearm has got a cartridge in the chamber is by the cartridge indicator, which is situated on the extractor, which is a small little red line that you will see. That's the only way to determine by standing looking at a firearm or a Glock pistol, looking at it.
Before you put the firearm back in its holster, the 9mm Glock, do you have to release the
firing pin, the hammer? No, you don't have to. No.
The slide? I mean, do you have to let the slide go back to the position that it's supposed to be, like forward, because you already said when it's empty, it's all the way back.
We have to look at the action of the firearm. In other words, if I fire the firearm and there's no more cartridges on the inside of the magazine, what I have to do is I'll have to press it down so that the slide can go forward and I can put it in my holster. I can even put it in the holster without closing the slide. It's either or. But the main thing for when the magazine are inside the firearm and you finished firing and used up all the cartridges, the slide should stay at the back. And it will only go forward either by you taking out the magazine, cocking it and letting it go under release, or by pressing it. That's it.
I want to show you these videos.
I can
Yes.
have a look there. It's fine.
I know you've watched it before, but I want to
I
show
can
it to you
see.
again. You can come out of the box if you want to. Your worship, if
I
you
can
like.
see it on the
Would you be
computer
able to
for the
see?
court. I can see it, yes. So I'm sure they don't have to turn it.
Said that he found animals, but he was not able to make a positive finding. Did you see it?
I saw.
I want you to count the number of shots that you can hear on the actual video.
Count the number of
Yes,
shots.
count it.
With permission, if we stand down, I can look at the video and
Yes.
examine it. I don't know how many shots is fired. I didn't count them.
Are you asking the court to adjourn to allow him time to...
Yes.
That's
No,
what
this
he
is not objective.
Yes, you should.
As also, please.
You can return it.
That is his request, so I thought that's what I heard on our call.
He can also stand and listen where he's standing here without us adjourning.
No, I understood they wanted to just step forward to see on the screen because it's too far from you. There's no need to
Yeah, I
adjourn.
just hear from him
Yeah,
more.
what do you want to?
Is that? What is your request?
I would like to play a video on my own,
Yes.
that I can slow it down and make sure the shot because it's very fast. But you can play.
No,
It appears to be between 15 and 16, but I can be incorrect.
I don't know what he's been using, so I didn't fail to understand. Yeah, it's annoying me. I'm not going to address it again. It's disturbing. And maybe not to the witness, but to the court. I'm going to accede to the witness's request to slow down at his leisure and count the shots so that he's sure, as it is an important aspect. So the matter will stand down for now. Okay, it doesn't matter. I also want to add Advocate Odes and Advocate Matthews. The portion of questions by court of the colonel, that part I now recall, I don't have the transcribed record of that part. I only have evidence in chief. It came to my mind now. I have evidence in chief, then cross-exam by Advocate Odes and cross-exam by yourself. So this was done before questions by court. So I don't have a transcription of that part. So if you do, and the answer to our bone of contention is contained in that part, I would appreciate it so that I can put that behind us.
If it's not necessarily complete at this stage, that's a side issue. We can address it maybe when we're doing argument or endless argument.
It's just dawned on me, I don't have that part of the
Sure.
transcript. Okay, then we'll adjourn for the witness to have a look. And then just, can they pass here to call me, or is it blocked? Then you're going to come and call me. You're going to walk right around and come and call me. All right, call me when you're ready. Court will adjourn. that he needs to call me, and that was the delay. It was you don't ever have to call me. So I got the message now, you are ready. Please be seated. Are we ready to go back on record? Not? Oh, has she gone to... Shit. Thank you. The witness, you are reminded that you are still under oath in this matter. Thank you. We proceed then, Advocate Caesar.
Thank you. You have examined it, is that correct?
That's correct. I had a look at it, yes.
The number of shots fired there?
It appears to be between 14 and 15, which I could count. Unfortunately, I cannot slow down the video of the court. And also the last shot, it appears that there's no shot fired and it's just the hand going up.
Just to be fair to you, I also counted about 15 shots, but one shot, the difference is neither here or there. Is that correct?
That's correct, 14 or 15. I would agree with that, yes.
Is that the standard magazine having that 15 shots as you testified earlier?
I wouldn't say it. It's very difficult. Depending on the firearm make, model, yes, the standard. Normally accepted in all your larger firearms, your 9mm, your 4.5s, etc., you will have 15 rounds or more.
What are the odds? You have counted 14, 15. I've counted 15. What are the odds that that's the standard firearm that has been fired there?
What do you classify as standard?
Standard magazine with 15 rounds in it being fired.
According to the video, it appears to be a firearm that's being fired and there's 15 or 14 shots. You can't say it's a standard and accept that everybody carries 15 rounds. It's not true.
Thought we settled on 15 on the standard magazine when I questioned you earlier before the actual video played.
Well, I haven't examined the magazine, so I cannot say if it's 15 shots. That's currently on that magazine. You did get extenders that add 2 or 3 shots, or even more. So we don't know. But 15 shots is, like you said, it's 15 shots that was fired that I counted, yes.
Would you be able to say that that is indeed a Glock firearm that you've been seeing there on that?
The quality of the video, I wouldn't say that.
Were you able to see the person actually bringing the firearm and handing it to accused number 1? Did you
No.
look at that?
I haven't examined it like I only counted the shots. No, unfortunately not.
What are the safety rules when handing over a firearm, a loaded one, and receiving a firearm?
It all depends on your training, but in normal circumstances, you will take the magazine out, you will make sure that it's safe, and there's no cartridges on the inside of the chamber, and then put it together and then put it on your person. That's the normal accepted way of handling the firearm when I hand it over. You must make sure that it's safe, what you receive. The biggest thing, we're talking about Glocks. Glocks do not have safety levers at all. There's nothing on the outside putting it on safe. So the only way to make it safe will be taking out the magazine, cocking it open, make sure it's empty and closed, and then hand the firearm to the next person.
What are the safety rules when handing over a loaded firearm?
You have to unload it first. So the person receiving or the person giving it. In my case, what I will normally do, I will make the firearm safe before I actually hand it to you.
Isn't it identify a safe direction firstly?
Yes, of course. All the other safety features need to apply. Yes, you need to safe direction, make sure the ammunition, make sure that the firearm is on safe or on, not on fire. The firing pin is being decocked. There's a lot of other things. The main thing is you need to make sure that the firearm is safe completely and there's no cartridge in the chamber. So handing it over, it will not be a loaded firearm.
Can you explain to the court what is a safe direction?
Safe direction is when we use a safe example, the court now. My safe direction will be to the rear, away from everybody else. In other words, I will turn around. I do not know what's behind this, but this is my safe direction at this point. But I wouldn't make the firearm safe here. I would rather take the firearm outside of court, make it safe there, and then bring it in the court.
Safe direction, is it not a 90-degree angle between the floor and the wall?
It's 90 degrees, you're going to shoot yourself. Depends where the bullet goes. So in other words, you need to make sure that you've got enough, the backstop at the end, that the bullet will not go through and hit somebody else, or ricochet or reflect back to you. So you have to make sure of all these factors. You have to look at all of them.
Second safety direction is always handle or treat the firearm as if it's loaded. Is that correct?
Always. Even if I can explain it to you this, even if I see that you are making the firearm safe in front of me and you hand it to me, when I take that firearm, I will 100% make sure I'll make it safe for myself to confirm that it's safe.
Third one, is it not keeping your finger off the trigger next to the slide of the firearm?
Yeah,
Third
all of
one.
this.
Fourth one, identify the target and what is beyond it. Is it not correct?
That's correct, yes.
My question was, did you observe what the person did that actually handed the firearm over to accused number one on that video?
I was asked to have a look at how many shots were fired. If you asked me to have a look, I would have looked for that.
also didn't look what happened after these shots were fired that you've heard
I
on
can,
that
look,
video.
I can look at it. If you ask me to do that, I will do that for you. Yes.
I'm going to request her to play the video again. I want you to look at the whole video and look at it in its context and everything that's going on in that video, particularly the person handing over the firearm and how he receives it back, where he takes it from. You need to look at everything.
I will do that. Just stop the video and go backward?
Yes. Yes, I can see you.
No, just a minute. I see the accused persons have moved to the sides, so I'm not sure if you are able to clearly see the footage.
While we're on the videos, I also want to let you have a look at the second video and the third video. Third one, also this the third one.
Party
seen the 3 videos?
Observe. Did you manage to observe the person actually handing over the firearm to accused number 1?
In video, you have to look at all the videos. In video number 1, you can't actually see who gives the pistol to the person. The second video also indicates that, if I can recall that correctly, just show me the second video again. If you could, can you just see the beginning, please? This is also the. You don't have to play the sound. You can put the sound off. Thank you. Second video shows the person walking to the back, and it appears that there's a rifle being handed to him. And in the video number 3, you find a person standing on a stage firing. It appears to be a firearm, and then you see somebody taking the firearm away from him.
Did you observe the muzzle flash with the revolver when the shots were fired there on the
On the
first
ro-
video?
You're talking about the pistol in video number 1.
Yes.
Yes, I've seen it.
You saw the muzzle flash? You said you counted about 14, 15 rounds, is that correct?
Yeah, it appears to be shots that's fired, yes.
Will you be willing to bind yourself if that is indeed a real firearm?
Sorry, just repeat the question.
Are you willing to bind yourself to say that is what a real firearm does? It
Tell
needs
it.
muzzle flash and like a standard firearm, you calling it a pistol, it's about 15 rounds of the shot.
If you look at a pistol,
Also,
and you,
there's two. That's incorrect. What my friend has just done. We asked the question: would you be prepared to bind yourself that is a real firearm? The witness asked for the question to be repeated. He didn't repeat it. He asked a different question. He needs to clarify that. That's incorrect. Because the record is going to show one question, a different question, and then one answer. So it needs to be clarified. Thank you.
My apologies to the witness. My apologies to you, sir.
What I've written is, are you willing to bind yourself
That what you see is a real firearm with muzzle flash and 15 rounds. That was the second part, ne? The second part of the, so you should exclude the last part of the question. Yes. Firearm, full stop. The rest came after, yes.
you cannot distinguish by looking at a video, just determining, saying that is a firearm. Yes, it acts like a firearm. You see that there's a muzzle flash. You see that it appears to be a pistol. It appears to look like a pistol. But that's all we've got. We don't have anything else. We do not have any fired bullets, cartridge cases.
The third video, you also observed the muzzle flash from that.
Can I ask the court to play the video and stop it where the video, where the flash is?
That's the viral video.
Yeah, that's the third one. Just after the flash. Stop. You just saw the flash now on the top part where that little pillar is on the right hand side. What is noticeable before the video actually, before it stopped, the firearm, that appears to be a firearm there, the muzzle of the firearm is past or just past that pillar. So it's the same thing applies with the pistol as well as the rifle, that it appears to be a rifle. Yes, we do see a flash. We see all the other things, but we do not see fired bullets. Where did all the fire? Where did all the cartridges go that was supposed to? If you also look...
We're getting there, sir, on that question.
Sorry?
We're going to get there on that question
Okay.
about where did
100%.
all the cartridges go.
All right.
Did you count? You testified yesterday that you saw 7 shots being fired there. Is that correct? Yesterday?
I think I counted 7, yes.
Yes. And I confirm I've also counted it. It is indeed 7.
Okay.
You've already questioned, or spoke about it. Where did all that cartridges go? That's the big question.
That's correct.
One was picked up from the 7, and this is the one that was examined by Gwadleka, which he got a positive result.
That is correct.
Now the other question is that a firearm that fired shots at the Cesar Dukashe Stadium was brought from accused number 2's company, which is linked to this particular incident.
I
What
cannot...
does it mean by accused number 2's company? Because yeah, we're going back to this problem.
Meaning that
It's
it
not
was
his company.
Julius' company at the time of the...
Sorry.
He wasn't the owner of the company, he said he really was at the time of the...
Yes, so what does my learned friend mean when he says that came from accused number 2's company? It's not correct.
I agree, he must be praised and dismissed.
Thank you for that as well. That firearm belonged to technical security.
I didn't do the research on who the firearms belong to. I would not know. I didn't do any research on the firearm, the owners, or who the responsible person was. I was just asked regarding the firearm, so I don't know. If you're stating that it belonged to the security company, yes. I cannot dispute that.
If you watch the video, did you see accused number 2 is the one actually approaching accused number 1 when this was done, this shot?
I was also in court when testimony was led regarding a facial recognition, and according to the science they could not say it is positively him. Yes, it appears to be accused number 2.
Mr. de Klerk, accused number 2 does not deny that it's him. It's a fact before court that you now saying that it appears to be.
I agree, but it's also a fact that there was a facial recognition determining she could not say.
It's my recollection that her answer was quite the contrary, that she identified accused number 2 as the person on that video.
I disagree with you.
Thank you, Worship. That concludes my cross-examination.
Matthews re-examination?
I do have a few questions.
Certainly.
Let's go in reverse order. You were asked about paragraph 7.1 and 7.2 of your report.
That is correct.
You were asked to examine firearms that the state had previously examined and been returned to the company. Is that not so?
That's
the
correct.
purpose of this being to establish what identification marks are imparted to a cartridge case.
That is correct.
As simple as that, not
Yeah.
so? Now, much has been made of the firearm, the exhibit firearm with SPA 249/14. Were you given permission to examine this firearm?
No, I weren't.
You were not.
No. There was no
And
permission.
was
given.
permission sought to examine this firearm?
Yes, we did.
Let's go back a bit. When this examination or investigation, the defense investigation into the ballistic started, it was in November 2021 or prior to that year. Mr. Stair was still in the country, is that correct?
That is correct.
In fact, he commenced the investigation.
He started everything, yes.
Did you and Mr. Stale disagree in any manner whatsoever about the ballistic finding?
No, we haven't. We actually think we're the same.
But now you've been asked about if you disagreed, why do you not go to a third party? That's all irrelevant for this matter now.
That's correct.
The piece, I apologize to my little colleague, but the piece of the microscope that you've got here is just the front little top portion of the microscope, is that correct?
That is correct.
It's not intended to be the whole microscope.
No, it's not.
So my little colleagues with knowledge of the microscope is unfortunately a bit wobbly. Do you agree?
It's problematic, yes.
Your evidence is based on an examination of the court charts which were supplied by the state, is that correct?
That is correct.
And it's that, those court charts on which the state's ballistic expert makes his findings, correct?
That's correct.
And your evidence is clear, is it not? That based on those court charts, no positive finding could have been made.
No. There's too many differences that you can see.
You have not been cross-examined about the required standard of that is required to make a positive finding that a certain firearm fired a certain cartridge.
That's correct.
You stick to your version that the internationally accepted standard is what?
National, basically it comes down to if you find a mark that's similar that you do find matching, you'll have to on one area, like for instance an extractor or ejector as a part, you need to find a second part to confirm what you found in the first one.
And that was not done by.
No, it wasn't. They've only used the neck marks, and to confirm that because of the differences that's visible, it's a requirement that you need to find something else. Different area.
There's been a question to you about the date of your report and when you signed it. But this report refers to things that happened in 2021, isn't it?
That's correct, yes.
So your investigation didn't commence yesterday.
No, it didn't.
You are also employed by other states, is that correct? Like when I'm in states, like South Africa, Namibia, whatever.
That is correct.
Who do you also do work for?
Botswana and Angola.
As a ballistic expert.
As a ballistic expert, yes.
Let's deal with this proficiency testing. Let me first ask you this question. The South African laboratories, this so-called ballistic laboratories or science laboratories, are they an accredited laboratory?
I'm not 100%.
Do you know?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I'm not sure.
An accreditation of a laboratory requires an international standard, not so.
That is correct.
The proficiency testing now, you ask about the proficiency testing. You, if I understand from your report, attend numerous what would you call them? Courses in ballistic, is that correct?
That is correct.
When was the last course you did? Can you recall?
No, unfortunately.
Thank you, but nothing.
Mr. de Klerk, at the risk of sounding as if I'm off the rails, maybe you can assist me. And I'm recalling from a memory here, and I may not use the correct terminology, so correct me where I used the wrong terminology. Much was said by Colonel Watleka regarding the microscopic rotation process. Is that the correct terminology that I'm using?
Use it as rotation process.
Just a minute. You've explained its way, and you've shown us where the cartridge remains in the same position, and you can tilt the microscope or to the angle and rotate and turn up to 360 degrees, you said.
Yeah, that's correct. It's called the objective stage. So your objective that you place is the cartridge case or the fired bullet.
I couldn't hear the last part of your sentence.
So objective stage, the fired bullet or the cartridge is placed on top of it, and then this can turn around and twist without it being removed.
Yes, that is so you confirm I'm understanding it correctly. Now, what is the margin of error when that process is applied?
Margin of error. It depends on the examiner itself. Some of the examiners do not use the measurements at all. They will.
Okay, look, let us not. You testified, you were listening to the colonel's evidence, and you followed what he used. So based on his evidence and this rotation process, with the microscopic rotation process, is there a margin of error?
You can't measure a margin of error putting a percentage on it because it's global. You have to look at everything. So all the marks, and comparing that, you will make a decision. And now it depends on your experience, your training. All of that plays a role now. Now once you have established, example, the neck marks, that is positive, it runs, all the photographs indicate we have similarities. There is similarities.
So, okay, let us just stop there so that I don't lose you on this aspect, okay? So up to that point, you agree with his finding that it corresponds.
There's some of the markings are similar. Yes, there is corresponding marks. There are corresponding marks.
Corresponding marks match.
Yes.
So that's not an error by using this process.
But you must include in those marks the differences as well. There's differences within those marks.
That, I'll come into that.
Yeah.
So we agree that the marks identified in the neck and chamber is indeed correct.
There is similarities, yes. Call it similarities, not a match. Similar, there's similar marks
Why do you say it's not a match? Based on what?
because of the differences.
Okay, we're getting to the differences. For now, you say we read all together, okay?
If I might, can I show the code?
Just a minute before we go to that. You identify the marks and found it to be
Similar. So are you saying that that is not enough? He must now look for differences as well.
When he's doing the comparison initially, we will look for differences in the neck mark itself as well. Now, once you've established corresponding marks, now you go. Now it's going to be a second area to confirm, just to qualify, to make sure that it's correct with the first initial examination or finding. Verify. So you have to use the second corresponding marks to verify.
Your view, or is that what must be done?
Universal protocol, and according to me, the ballistic unit still uses exactly the same protocols. Hasn't changed. So the requirements for a follow-up, and the colonel actually testified there, where he said the follow-up means it's a second mark that's similar, the second group of marks. He testified that he used a follow-up on the neck. So his next group of marks that are similar, he used the same area, which is wrong. He needs to use a different area to confirm the first
So
area.
let me know if I'm also getting this wrong. Is the neck and the chamber not two different areas?
It's different areas, yes. The neck is in the front. According to me, the chamber is more on the side of the cartridge. But if you look, scientifically speaking, the chamber is everything that's there.
So he used two surfaces then?
Sorry, ma?
So indeed he used two surfaces, or areas if you want.
He used one area, but two surfaces.
Yes, so I'm
Yeah.
saying he used two surfaces.
That's
So
correct.
he met the international protocol.
No.
Why?
The protocol asks for a second tool, for a second set of marks, not on the same area. So in other words, the chamber marks, or the neck marks that he found, is seen as one area. Even though he's matched it, he needs a second part of marks, different than the area that he's using. That's the protocol.
Okay, let me ask you this. Now, rate with the differences that you found in your evidence.
Then I go to the
do you need to refresh your memory?
No, I can refer to these differences that I found, but I would like to show the court the differences.
I reported them yesterday and I
Oh.
saw them because remember I said you go slowly, I'm writing down.
100%.
Yes, so
Now,
my question is very short.
Based on the similarities that you confirm and the differences, do you dispute the finding made by Colonel Gwadlet?
yes, I dispute that it's not positive. The best possible finding is our understanding.
Okay, I understand you on that aspect. Now, according to me, using the microscopic rotation process, and it's positive, why do you say he should have found an undetermined finding?
Because there's differences on the marks that he used. There's collective differences within those marks. And if you look at that, the differences as well as similarities, we have to decide. There's too many differences to warrant a positive identification.
In your view, based on the court charts
Yes, and on the protocol.
and based on the court charts. Okay. Now, there's just one other aspect, and for that I will need you to go onto the video that you took. Firstly, whose, if I can say, don't know, blank firearm did you use in whilst making the video?
Video was supplied by the Julius to me. It's a blank firearm that I examined, which you can buy from China.
No. So I'm not interested in China Mall or who bought it, and
That was supplied to me.
I'm just wanting to know who is it. In other words, did you use your own, or were you given a firearm to test?
I was given a firearm, it wasn't mine. I don't know.
All right. By whom provided the blank firearm?
Security company brought it up from there.
Tactical security.
I think so, yes.
All right. So when you say the video was supplied to you by the defense, what do you mean? Or did you just mean? Yeah. Did you say firearm? Then who was shooting the actual video?
That was, you're talking about the one with the flash?
Both. Whilst you were firing the blank firearm, who was taking the video?
It was, when you were taking the video was on a stand, it was myself and Mr. Walmerans in the shooting range doing the shooting of the test, especially regarding the flash.
Mm-hmm.
The other test that I've done, it was myself, the range officer, as well as two security guards that brought the firearms, all the firearms up from Durban, so that I could take it to the shooting range to shoot.
All right. I'm specifically interested in the others. The firearms are. It doesn't feature. It's not neither here nor there. No, the normal firearms. If you say firearms were tested, it's not an issue here. The blank firearm, when you were shooting or firing that firearm, was only Mr. Volmerans present.
And Mr. Bowman was taking this.
And you say the video was on a stand.
That's correct.
Okay. Can we please go to that clip only if you are able to find it? There's just a few things that maybe you can clarify for me, which my mind doesn't comprehend. When you reach there, and then before you start playing, I just need to ask you a few questions. So if you can just find the spot. Right. So the firearm or the blank firearm is the one who's said to be portrayed in the third video clip showed to you by the state. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That is the type of blank firearm you were firing. Okay. What I saw now on watching, on observing the video, the firearm or the shots are fired consecutively and quickly, rapidly, without intervals or pauses. Very fast. Now if we can just have a look and play your video, please. So you thought, is that the end of the video, the shooting? Of the
Yeah, it still goes on, but that was, we fired 5 shots, I think. Yeah.
When firing, was your finger on the trigger all the time, consecutively?
Yeah, I pulled it every time, so it's bang, 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 yes.
Does that differ from what took place in the third video that we were viewing minutes ago?
If the court is asking me if it was interrupted fire or auto, I would say no.
Yours?
Well, mine, no. On the video as well, I wouldn't say that it was automatic or uninterrupted fire. In other words, pull the trigger once and go grrr. No, I would disagree with that.
Okay, so yours doesn't go grrr.
No, it's no uninterrupted fire.
Yours is fire, flash, fire, flash, fire, flash. A lot slower.
Yes.
So it's going to be bang, bang.
Okay.
Like this, I'm going to do exactly the same.
All right. Thank you. Now you've explained to me the difference in what we saw in video 3 and your shooting. That's what I wanted to know. Okay. The other aspect that you mentioned yesterday in identifying a blank to a real firearm, you mentioned something about the handle, and you showed pictures of 4 images of 4 or 6 of firearms. What is the difference in the, you say you can identify the difference in the handle of a blank and a real firearm?
Stock. Call it the stock, basically the butt at the back.
Yes, the butt at the back. That is different.
The problem is sitting with is that it's interchangeable.
Mm.
And you can go to it, you can buy it without any license. And if you look at the blank guns that I showed in my presentation, you'll notice it appears to be the same as in the video. It appears to be the same. It's also an angle, but that's interchangeable. You can change it. So,
Okay, but my question is actually very simple. The blank firearm compared to the real firearm, you say the butt is one of the aspects that you can identify between a blank and a real.
I'll have to retract it because it's not possible to determine just by looking at the butt to determine if it's
No,
real.
I'm not saying you'll determine that it's real or blank. It's one of the aspects that you may use to determine.
Yes, I would agree with that, yes.
You happy with that? Okay. And with the real firearm, the butt remains the same.
You can set it up so you can push it forward.
Mm.
And in the presentation, you will find that some of them is in the front or the rear. It all depends on the shooter now.
Mm.
What they found is, let's say this winter, you've got big jackets or whatever, so there's a butt will be to the front because it's more comfortable. all of you traveling, firearms is nice and small. And the real one, you're also going to extend it out. It's also extendable. And the handgun is also extendable, exactly the same.
Okay. So that is what I wanted to establish, and you've cleared that up for me. The only other aspect that bothers or that concerns me, and although you've replied to the state's cross-examination to that aspect, and Advocate Matthews, sorry, before you say I only look at Advocate Advocate Matthews. Now I've taken myself off the rail. You mentioned the words that your report was cut off right at the part where your partner had to sign. Is that not something you should have really ensured and checked before submitting a report where the signature is cut off? I mean, that is an important aspect for a court to consider your report and accept it. It's a vital aspect for me.
Due to the fact that I was in the hospital, everything was
Yes.
chaos.
Yes.
And if you look at the photo, so the peer review signature will be on the next page.
Yes.
It was just, I ran into the coffee shop with a memory stick and said, please print this for me. They printed it up, stated it, and I came to court immediately. So I didn't really have time to go through it again and make sure that all the pages. I saw my signature. So unfortunately, it was not. I can get a copy for
Quite after the fact, Mr. Dick. So what value do you think I should attach to it?
Well, I can get the peer review one for the court, but again, it's after the fact. Yes.
Any questions based on the questions that have been used?
Just one minute, I'm just looking for a document. I think it's common core. Did you see any peer review signature on the section 212 statements handed in by the state of the ballistic expert?
No.
Thank you.
Questions based on the court's questions that you can get?
I have 4 lots of questions also. So, first question goes back to the questions from the worshipper regarding similarities not being a match. Now what I want to ask you is, when you find one mark, I'm going to use an example, and you attribute it to the magazine, then I put you'd expect that same mark to be on every cartridge that comes from the same magazine. Would you agree with me?
That is correct.
When there's a mark that is from another part of the firearm, then one can see, because the magazine is easy to change. But if it's from the bolt breech or any other part, then it would be something that you'd expect to find on all the cartridges that were ejected out of that same firearm. Would you agree with me?
That is correct.
Right. So, in other words, one can look at even the court charts and say, this is a magazine mark, this is a bolt mark, this is a different type of mark, to determine where in the particular firearm that mark might have been caused. Do you agree with me?
That's correct.
Right. So we have the situation, and that's why where you can change a magazine and you fire a round or 5 rounds with the same magazine, different firearms, you still find that magazine. Now, that's why one has to look. I put you, that's why you have to look at different areas on the actual cartridge to determine that it is a proper match between the cartridge and other cartridges from that same firearm to determine they come from the same firearm. The second issue related to the video that you took and the distinction that the worship seems to draw between the rapidity or the speed within which the trigger was pulled. I put you that the blank firearm it loads itself as well, it's self-loading. You don't have to cock it or every single time that you fire the cartridge.
That's correct. It's gas operated. So every time that you pull the trigger, as long as there's ammunition in the magazine, it will fire another gun.
Put differently, it can shoot just as fast as the real version of that firearm. In other words, if I take a rifle that's self-loading, a real rifle that's self-loading with gas, and I take a blank replica or firearm that's also self-loading with gas, they can both shoot at the same speed. And the third aspect was relating to the butt of the firearms. I put to you that the butt of the cylinder firearms or the real firearms. And then you can see, as a matter of fact, and that's been covered by the Council for Accused number 2, that the exhibits of we have it as Exhibit D, the full series of the Colonel's reports. And I want to put you as a fact that nowhere will you find who actually did the peer review of his reports, and there's several of them. There must be at least 8 or 10 the last time I counted, from Exhibit D1 all the way through to and up to the exhibit number.
That is correct. Normally what will happen is we will ask for the documents you peer reviewed. Chances that you get that far in the laboratory is almost zero. Basically what happens is they say it's a peer review. Within the document, there is a document with a peer review signature. That person writes down what he saw, how he saw it, where he saw it. So it's a basic confirmation of the first examiners. So what happens is normally when we get involved with identification, the first thing we ask is to see the exhibit, see the text, as well as that SOP, that document. I would like to see what marks that you find. That's the only place that will give indication other than the court charts. If we have the court charts, then we use the court charts.
No, but even if you look at the court charts, there's no indication that they were ever peer reviewed. Before the court is exhibit here, I'll show it to you. That they were compiled by Lieutenant Colonel Magwadeka, he signed off on them as well. There's no indication of anybody else having peer reviewed, even the court charts reviewed.
That is correct.
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We have finalized your evidence. You are excused and you may stand up.
That's the good thing. I see it's 1:05. The day in front of me, I can hear his stomach around me.
It's not mine that you're hearing. All mine. Okay, just a minute. All right. I just like, because I still have this run, I'm still running. You may stand down, Mr. de Klerk. Pack up, feel free to. Still running the second court. I want to know from the defense, are we going to use the full afternoon session?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'll attend to that now, and I'm supposed to do it in this court, so... No, we're going to do it now, in one... Okay, you can pause our record, please. I'm going to rely on the police because they are in custody. So do you prefer to bring them just before 2 o'clock or right now? Just before 2? Oh, just before 2 o'clock. Okay, then I'll arrange the dates and just before 2 come in to attend to the postponement. If someone else can't assist me, then until 2. Court will adjourn for the lunch adjourn.